Hey, what is up guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and if you guys saw our previous video, we went to Walmart and, well, bought the cheapest PC that we could find. Well, a little bit of a different situation here. We went to Best Buy and bought the cheapest PC we could find. Will it game?
Does it suck? We don't know.
Let's find out.
Here's how we got this PC.
What's the difference? This color is way nicer. So yeah, this is the PC we're gonna go with. Or are we? I don't know yet. It's a big dent in it. we like to take risks with power surges.
Do you need help with YouTube? Are you ready to take the next step and make your channel bigger? Alright, well listen up, I got just the thing for you. It's called TubeBuddy. It's an extension tailored for YouTube and it offers all kinds of tools. One of my favorite is the tag suggester, and another one of my favorite is the best time to upload feature. But that's only to name a few, so go check it out for yourself in the link down below.
Alright guys, so this PC is the HP Pavilion 590. This one's different, it's actually AMD. I'll let Jackson talk more about the actual specs of the system as he opens it.
Alright, so what we have here is a Ryzen 2200G. So yes, this is actually a, hold on, we gotta get into this. Is this what I think it is? It is different. It's a gaming keyboard.
It's
just
low
kidding.
profile, dude?
It is low profile though. So we always like to stress these guys because this part is very important. In all honesty though, it is really cool that they actually do include a keyboard and mouse, because whenever you buy a computer, that's a really obvious thing that you have to have with a computer. And it's one of those things where if you don't have one yet, well, you can kind of get set up and kind of get an idea of what you want. You know, get your computer set up and then realize, oh, I want a mechanical keyboard with nice switches and blah, blah. So this is actually their, I think it's called Ash Gray finish. And you're getting ready to see what it looks like. It actually, I mean, in the store, it looks pretty nice. Really don't know too much about it, but it has a, oh my God, it has a 1 terabyte hard drive in it. And yes, it's a hard drive. There's no SSD in this. So that's one of the first things that we will be upgrading is a 120 gig. I think this is an inland SSD. So that'll be our basic boot drive, but we'll still have the 1 terabyte in there so that we can put all of our games and whatever other fun stuff we have on there.
So compared to the Walmart PC that we recently did, this one costs about $460 and the Walmart PC was about $300. So we are spending more money with this system, but this was one of the cheapest, reasonably new PCs that Best Buy offered. They did have like an A9 PC, but it's not something
that's not reasonable.
It's not reasonable for the money, and it just wasn't worth considering. But this one comes with that Ryzen APU, as we mentioned, and we do have the upgrade to some other parts over here, as we mentioned, the 1050, which is what we use in the Walmart PC actually, and we're using the same thing for this one just to see a good performance difference. But you all asked in the last video, and we're definitely going to be doing it. We're going to test this system before the upgrade and then after the upgrade, so you all know what you're getting out of the box.
And what's really funny about this one, so they're both HP PCs. The Walmart PC was a slimline HP. This one's just, I guess it's still really small, but what's funny is they both have the same power supply. So the actual Intel one that we did, the Walmart one, had a 180 watt small form factor one. This one, well, you said they kind of blocked off over here. Same situation. It has 180 watt gold, 80 plus gold certified power supply, which seemed really good. In our case, if you guys don't know, the Walmart PC kind of had a very tragic end. If you want to talk about that, Matt, I can't.
Yeah, it was sad. We're in our new office here, right? Great office, love it very much. But there was a storm, and well, we were having some flickering issues with our monitors on all our PCs, and the Walmart PC, well, didn't survive the attack from the storm. So,
which is not necessarily, it's not the PC's fault. Like the power supply seemed great. I mean, 180 watts. We were powering a 5400, a 1050, a bunch of RGB lights, an SSD, extra 4 gigs of RAM. So I mean, in all honesty, power supply was doing a really good job, but you know, power surges, if you don't have a surge protector, well, we did have surge protector. That's the other crazy part.
It just wanted to die. It was done.
So what do we got in here?
So we got on the inside.
So this one actually is a lot more, I guess you could say, upgradable compared to the actual Walmart one. The Walmart one, the thing was, basically, which I'm gonna flip it up here, the whole entire motherboard was covered by like the hard drive base. So you can see here we have the hard drive mounted upside down right here, in which we actually do have, you know, like full-size SATA and everything. Now what's really stupid about this, and I guess not stupid, but they do have their proprietary ATX power connector. So there's no 24 pin. There's basically the normal 4-pin CPU, and then there's another 4-pin. And so the issue is you really can't upgrade the power supply unless you buy some type of adapter. I think that an M.2 SATA SSD is the way to go. We have one slot right here for our 1050 to go, and then other than that, I mean, we have another RAM slot. We do have 2 RAM slots. So if we wanted to, because there's only one 8 gig stick at 2066 megahertz, which you guys have all known, and Matt's talked about it plenty of times with Ryzen, that you kind of want to have high speed and you really want to have dual channel for Ryzen. I mean, in this case, it is 8 gigs, you know, and granted, it's a decent speed. It's not like high, it's not 3000, but you know, for what you're probably going to be doing, 8 gigs is probably enough, but we'll consider upgrading. All right, and so before we start upgrading this thing, we're gonna benchmark it and see how this 2200G does. We've already done some videos on it, and you guys probably have a basic idea, but you know, just for the video purposes, we're gonna show you exactly what this bad boy can do. Yay! All right, guys, so the first game that we have to benchmark here is Counter-Strike Go. So we have it actually, I believe, completely maxed out. We'll go ahead and double check that. So yeah, essentially completely maxed out. And you can see run 1920 by 1080 full screen. And I mean, honestly, it's not like terrible. I mean, obviously it's not exactly like, it wouldn't be playable for sure. 30 to 60 FPS, and it depends on the area we're in. Like if we're in like a closed space like this, I mean, if you check it out, we're getting a really nice smooth 60 plus, but then as soon as we try to like go outside or anything, you know, it gets pretty bad. You can see that we're not like maxed out on RAM or anything yet, but we are close. So we're at 504 megabytes of RAM right now. All right, guys, and now we have the game The Forest. So yeah, this one's already pretty much a nightmare to run. So we're just on medium settings right now, and gosh, just look at that motion blur, it's epic. But yeah, we're getting like 12, 13 FPS, you know, pretty bad. So once we throw this good old 1050 low profile into it, it should run a crap ton better. But just to give you guys a basic idea of how it runs without a graphics card, it's, you know, pretty bad.
Alright guys, so the next game we are testing is actually Far Cry 5 at 1080p low settings. As you can tell, this little APU just does not like this at all at 1080p, getting only like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 FPS. And from these benchmarks, we're kind of seeing a trend. The Ryzen 3 normally performs better than this, so it might have something to do with the HP drivers with this pre-built system, which we will probably check with the upgraded version when we add the 1050. But as you can tell, performance is pretty bad. I'd honestly consider this unplayable, and honestly, even if we did it to like 720p, it'd probably be only at like 30 or so FPS. So let's see if I can just run around here real quick and get anything above what I'm doing. If I look straight to the sky, see how high it gets. 19. And it's still
20.
20. We hit
it's
20
playable,
for a second.
baby.
We hit 20 for a second. But yeah, if you like watching PowerPoint Far Cry, then yeah, you can do this. But it's definitely less than ideal. So let's try another game. All right, guys. So the next game we are testing is PUBG. Yes, good old PUBG at 1080p low settings with a lower resolution scale also. So this is kind of like the lowest possible settings you can get at 1080p. You might be wondering for an APU why we're sticking to 1080p, and it's mainly because we want to show the difference of the graphics card upgrade once we do add it. But PUBG overall is performing relatively okay for what it is. There's a lot of stutters, as you can tell when we're dropping in. PUBG, just kind of awful overall. But see, there's somebody over here, so we can get him. I don't even know if I hit him.
All right, so as you guys saw, this thing just runs like complete butt. So what we have here is a 1050 low profile graphics card. Now, we're only using this because we had it lying around. Really, you're paying a little bit more for the low profile aspect. We suggest going with something like a 1060 or an RX 580 because this thing actually supports a full-size graphics card, which here's another issue. We only have the low profile bracket, but you know, you can always pop those off and just kind of have it sit in there and it, you know, it works. And also, we did kind of come through this time and we tested out games on it before so you guys can see what it ran like. Just a 2200G, you can find plenty of tests if there's a game you didn't see, but our internet here right now is just, it's bad.
It's pretty bad, guys.
Yeah, so we only tested the few games that we could because we already had them downloaded and we really can't download anything else at the moment. But we will leave the other stuff to download probably overnight so that we can test it on this 1050 for you guys and get an idea of what you can do with this Best Buy pre-built system and hopefully we can do some major gaming on it. And to kind of help out with the boot times and everything, we have a 120 gig M.2 SATA drive, and that'll just plop down right back there behind the RAM. We'll have to take this hard drive cage off, nothing too major, and this should go right in. Hopefully it works. We haven't tested that either. Just who knows what else is going to break today.
But yeah, we got other SSDs if it doesn't work, and overall this is kind of an experiment just to see if we can get this thing to be a gaming PC. So how do we upgrade it?
Let's do it.
Alright guys, so now we are running CSGO, and as you can tell, this is a substantial upgrade over the frame rate on the last time we ran this game. And as you can tell, I am just getting collapsed, dude, with no audio.
What's your C sound?
Yeah, there's no audio. But as you can tell, well over 100 FPS. This is performing, got him. That's all I needed to do. Relatively well for CSGO. If you get over 100 FPS CSGO, max settings, really can't complain too much, especially on a system like this. The 1050 is doing a lot more than the integrated graphics on the Ryzen APU that was originally the main graphics driver for the system, but overall this is a big boost in performance, and we'll probably see this throughout all the other games we test. As you can tell, performance is again way better. 1080p high settings, over 60 FPS currently, which is actually better than I thought it was.
Suitcase your suitcase?
What are you talking about?
That pink one, is that yours?
That's my suitcase, dude.
Oh,
got some snacks out of
Pizzazz.
Let me nibble.
So how many SPS are you getting?
SPS, we're right now running through here, we're getting about 50-ish FPS, getting upwards to 60 occasionally, depending on what I'm looking at. If I'm looking at the ground, 58. If I look up to the sky, we're at 126. The progression is really
Consistent.
good here. All right, guys, so now we are back in Far Cry 5 on the same 1080p low settings, because that seems to be the most ideal settings to run this game. And even with a 1050, Far Cry is definitely a hard game to run because of the 2 gigabytes of VRAM. But as before, when we were getting only like 14 or 15 FPS, we are now around 50 to 49, which is much more playable. If you did want to drop this down resolution-wise to like 900p or something like that, you could get up to 60 FPS if you wanted to. But running around the map right now, not a PowerPoint slideshow anymore. So that is good news, and does show exactly what we've been talking about, how the 1050 upgrade has been a pretty easy upgrade, not requiring external power for this desktop, and turns this, what was basically a very light gaming PC, into somewhat of a capable gaming PC. Alright, so the last game we're going to be testing is PUBG, and as you can tell, running the same very low settings at very low resolution scale, we're actually getting kind of ridiculous FPS. You could obviously up the resolution, the render resolution, and the quality settings if you want to get a better looking picture. As I'm dropping in, I'm right about 60 FPS. I was getting over 100 for a second there, but that's mainly because there wasn't really anything rendered in. But we're right around 60, 68, dipping into the 50s occasionally. This is definitely playable for a game like this, and this is a good benchmark because if you do want to play other games like, let's say, Fortnite or now Apex Legends, this is kind of a good benchmark to see performance-wise what you can expect. You'll probably get better numbers with Fortnite, and we have yet to test Apex Legends with some of our budget systems, but it's definitely something we want to test. But overall, around 50-ish FPS, not the greatest experience in the world, but it's definitely playable if you want to hop in and play some good old PUBG as I get shot in the back. But as you can tell, definitely a big improvement over that APU. And how about we just go ahead and wrap up real quick with a few thoughts about the original system and talk about what we think of the system overall. All right, so let's talk about this PC real quick. So what do you think, Jackson? Is this thing worth buying, or what was your opinion about it?
So the answer to Matt's question, is this PC actually worth it? Well, the thing is, Matt and I have built pretty much the same exact system for around $350, maybe $400 if you include the GPU and you're not going with like an APU aspect of it. So you are kind of paying like a $100 premium just because it's pre-built. But don't forget the fact that it is already put together, built, has a warranty. Okay, the warranty is a good one. And the fact that it has Windows 10 already installed on it. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons, but for about $500 to $550, what we've done here is made this a playable gaming PC. It's not really marketed as a gaming PC either. This is actually kind of outside of Best Buy's gaming PC section. The gaming PCs there usually all have graphics cards and then they don't do APUs like this. This one though was the most affordable one that they had there. The other ones, I think the next one up was $900 maybe, and it had a RX 580 and like a, what was it, 2700 in it?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where for a decent amount cheaper, we're now able to play those games that you'd be able to play with that more expensive one, just not quite as good, but you know, hey, you could always throw another graphics card into it because this thing can fit an actual decent sized graphics card in it. Now, another thing that we wanted to point out was this thing only has 1 stick of RAM in it. It has 8 gigs, which is great. But this is the Ryzen platform. You need dual channel with Ryzen. You also need a really fast frequency. So this comes with 2066 megahertz RAM in it. Buy another stick of like 4 or 8 gigs of 2066, dual channel it, and then buy an SSD because this thing's like brutally slow with the hard drive, and hard drives are kind of getting like obsolete as boot drives. You want to have them as your game storage drive. And so those upgrades alone will actually make a pretty big difference. Obviously during the game test where we did not have a graphics card in, we think that one of the main reasons that we're getting really low FPS was because the drivers were not like fully up to date because the internet here is really good. And then the other issue was we weren't doing dual channel memory, so we think that was really holding back the processor a lot because the 2200G, if you guys check out tests, is actually a pretty good APU. AMD has done really good with their Vega graphics.
Alright guys, so if you did like this video, be sure to smash that like button and let us know what you think of this Best Buy PC. We've kind of made a little bit of a mini series out of this by doing Walmart and now a Best Buy PC, and we spent a little bit more money with this one than we did the Walmart PC, and I think it's a much more interesting value and something that we wanted to test because it was AMD as opposed to Intel with the Walmart one. But if you did like this video, be sure to subscribe, let us know what you want to see next, and hopefully we will see you all in the next one.